Welcome into the Holton Ahlers Show. The head coach of East Carolina, Blake Harrell, joins the show right after the break. He rallied East Carolina together. Let's go. Hope you enjoy the show. If not, as always,
Holton Ahlers turns, and Holton will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holton Ahlers to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
and we are back. Head coach, head ball coach,
HBC.
Blake Harrell. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Holton, for having me on. It's good to be with you guys once again.
I was about to say, last time we were here, you're the DC, and we were still talking about the future of ECU, but now you're the head man. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. Like, how is your mind? You've had maybe a day to slow down a little bit, probably not, but how has it been?
It's been full steam ahead, full go ahead. You know, I think the last 5 weeks have been awesome, just what our young men have accomplished and come together and for a common goal, for a purpose, and pulling in the same direction for each other. That was just awesome to see. But at that point, it was all focused on your next opponent, whether it was Temple, FAU, North Texas, Tulsa, Navy. That was all you were focused on, game plan and getting ready for those guys and make sure your players were make sure they had the vision, the mission, and go win a football game. Now you got a little week here, a little lull. I shouldn't call it a lull because it's full steam ahead. Because now you're focusing on, the portal opens next Monday. What can you do to kind of make sure you solidify your 2025 roster? And I talked to our seniors on Monday. I said, hey, guys, listen, we are not taking anything away from you. We still got one more game to go win. Job's not done. We got to go finish this 2024 season the right way. But we will start to talk about, we will start to talk about what our plans are for 2025 as far as the roster and making sure we solidify that, make sure we go attack it aggressively over the next month. So they were all good and just everybody's on the same page, and that feels really good. Yeah,
I bet. So how soon after you being, like, obviously firing of a coach is a crazy experience in general, especially that early in the season. Like, how soon of it was it like to you, wow, I could like actually become the next head coach here if I do what I'm supposed to, or not really supposed to do, but do what you believe you can do?
I think there's always that thought in your head, but that wasn't the focus. It was always about our young men in our locker room and, beating Temple, beating FAU, beating Tulsa. And then it kind of like after the Tulsa game is when you had like 9 days before you played North Texas. And for our players and for staff and for coaches, it's like, okay, because for so long it was don't focus on December. Don't worry about December. Focus on the day. Focus on winning the day. Do what's important now. Win the day, WIN. And we talked about all those things in our mission, our goals, and our beliefs. But after the Tulsa game, it was like, okay, you had a day to catch your breath, and like, okay, well, what's going to happen in 2 weeks? Where are we going to be at in 2 weeks? Are we still going to be Pirates? Or are we going to be looking for new addresses? So it worked out really well.
Good.
What changed those last few games? Me and Holton were under a firing. We only had one game, but when what happened, like I feel like our team fell apart. I mean, Holton almost got in a fist fight himself over me.
I've heard that.
He's a feisty guy. Like, did the team get more united? Like, what did you see of a change in those last 4 games?
Just every player, every coach, every staff member in the building came together just to be as one and make it about us. I told those guys early on, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about I, but it's about us pulling together. And it could have went a lot of different directions. And just you've been through it before, so you know the directions it could go. But we all had to see the things the same way. And we really rallied around our seniors. Like our younger kids, they're focused on like, hey, what am I going to do in 2 years? Or where am I going to be on the road? Or what's coming in December? Our seniors, they have nothing else to play for. They don't have next season. They had 5 games left to play. And it was game by game by game, rallying around those guys. And we had great leadership by those guys, which really helped.
Yeah, that was something as a fan. Once you finally you get out of it, you're trying to look at a couple weeks out, like, oh, we play blah, blah, blah. And then kind of like I was cheering for you guys so hard. I was like, each game, I was like, all right, locked in, looking at each week. I'm like, holy crap, stack, stack and win. So we talk about it, and it's exciting to watch.
It's so easy, as a fan or sometimes players or coaches look down the road. What's 2 weeks from now? What's 3 weeks from now? Hey, we're not. This game's important, but we're looking down the road too. And you forget to go play a ball game. And this was, hey, we got to go attack today. And it wasn't about, at first it wasn't even about Temple. It was about our players, about their mindset, getting through some pain. And then on that Tuesday, it was about winning Tuesday practice and going and attacking that way, and then going to class, and then having a great meeting. And then the next day was the next day. So it was just being where your feet are every single day. And really, that's not going to be no different than our go ahead. And to make sure we always, go attack recruiting the way it should be. Go attack keeping players, on our roster in the way they need to be stay here, and retaining players. Attack that thing. Attacking the portal. Come January to be attacking morning runs or high school recruiting or whatever it may be. So that's just got to be our mindset. Like, win the day, attack every single day like it's your last. Every single day is the most important day of the year because it's the current day.
Yeah.
So we talk about that all the time. And if I think we'll take that mindset into every season, you'll never overlook a game, and you'll always attack it like it's the biggest game of the year, and you won't have any setbacks throughout the season.
This podcast is brought to you by Worth Chiropractic, 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. Normal back and neck pain, former athlete. We're both now, Caden. I have a horrible back. Dr. Worth is the best to work with. Getting back to being you, Caden, what do you have to say?
Yeah, outside of Holton massaging my back weekly, Dr. Worth and his crew are a phenomenal job. And they just put up their Christmas lights for Christmas. It looks amazing.
Phenomenal. Shout out to Worth Chiropractic. We really are big fans of those guys. 1-800-BACK-DOC. I'm just telling you, if you have any back pain, go to him. Go to his team. They will get you right. I promise you. Dr. Worth, thank you for supporting the pod. Next, I want to give a shout out to Wayne Hardy Law, 1-800-INJURED. Look, if you've been in a car accident, you're a popular person. A lot of people are going to be calling you, a lot of insurance adjusters. Make sure you call 1-800-INJURED. Big Wayne and his team are going to treat you right. They'll treat you like family. Look, that's the Wayne Hardy difference. If you want to win your case, you want to be treated like family, they're going to look out for you. Make sure you support Wayne Hardy Law, 1-800-INJURED. Caden, we're big fans of them as well.
Wayne's the best.
100%. They'll treat you like family. That's the Wayne Hardy difference. Last but not least, Mattamuskeet Goose Club. This is honestly the comfiest hoodie ever. They've been posting a lot. Make sure you follow them on Instagram as well, Mattamuskeet Goose Club. But college, country, classy, sweatshirts, hunting, wallets, keychains. I mean, wear out hats.
Can you spell versatility?
Versatility. No, I cannot. But I can tell you that Mattamuskeet Goose Club has it. Make sure you go check out them on social media and their website. Make sure you go order them. They've had some good deals going on as well now. Mattamuskeet Goose Club. Appreciate you for supporting the pod. When you talked about like finally realizing like you could be named the head coach here, and I want to get to like your conversations with John Gilbert as much as you can, but like the players were very, very vocal, and not only the players but the fans were too. How did that, like, what did that mean to you first of all, and then where you're like, holy cow, like this is really might actually happen?
Yeah, I think more than anything is kept telling the guys, hey, keep the main thing the main thing. Keep focusing on North Texas or keep focusing on Navy. Because I had a couple guys like hit me up after the Tulsa win.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, coach, we want to go to John Gilbert and talk to him about these things. And I was like, hey, do what you got to do, but let's keep the main thing the main thing. It's about North Texas.
Yep.
It's about our football team. It's about us. It ain't about Blake Harrell. It ain't about who the next coach is. And I think for them, it was more about their support for each other, their love for each other. They wanted some consistency because they love being a Pirate. They want to be in Pirate Nation. And they knew if somebody else came in, that maybe they'd have to go. So that was kind of where they were, and they didn't want to have to leave. So I understood that. But, we just kept focusing on just the next opponent and making it about that.
Yeah, 100%. And then, obviously you were the defense coordinator. You got to be the interim head coach, and now you're the head coach. But, like, how will your program be different from, obviously Coach Houston and the program he ran? He ran a good one. We were all a part of it.
Yeah.
What differences will you do, or maybe not specific things, but just the vibe of it?
I think Coach Manil Ruff gave me some good advice when I called him back during this process, and we had about a 30, 45-minute conversation. Then he calls him back. He goes, "Hey, one thing, just be you, and I think that was very true.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously I was under Coach Houston for a long time, and going to take things I really enjoyed that he did.
Yep.
Did a great job at, and take them and try to make them mine. And other coaches I've been through, have been around, and had the experience to be under and mentorship under. But at the end of the day, it's going to be my personality and my flavor on things, or how I do things. And I shouldn't say my or me.
Yeah.
I should say we, and because that's most important to me. It takes everybody. It takes people. Head coach is only as good as their staff. and only the good as good people that surround them with. So, that's where it starts.
For sure. We would always joke. We've made it multiple times. We had Coach Kirkpatrick on, and we told
DK.
him.
I miss old DK.
When you first, we do too. But when you first got there, I mean, I'm sure it's still like this to this day. The Friday night meetings with the offense, we'd be falling asleep, and y'all would be like having a party over there, and we're like, dude. And when you got named the interim head coach, me and Kay were like, dude, we don't know how it's going to end up, but I promise you, the team meetings will be fun. So, like, have you actually kept that? Are the team? We've heard they're pretty fun. So
yeah, we have a good time in there. You know, we might have a little dance competition at the beginning or some different competitions. And I thought, like, through this whole process, we had to change some things up.
Yep.
You know, good, bad, whatever, just to get us out of that daily routine and get us out of that. Sometimes you can get in a season, it's a little bit of a drag.
Yeah.
And we had to just change some things up. And that's not saying anything about how we were doing it or that what we did was better. It would just change things up. You know, in the middle of practice, we'd stop and have a one-on-one competition with 2 linemen.
Oh, that's cool.
We'd let 2 bigger guys catch punts or something like that. You know, and one of the things you talk about Friday night meetings, we changed that up. You know,
really?
After dinner, we did our meetings at the facility or before we left for an away game.
I love doing that.
I love that.
Once we got to dinner, we ate dinner, and then after dinner, we invited like all the coaches' families and their kids over.
Yeah.
And then we had just game night, which was to get
that's cool.
Players had video games and playing Monopoly or playing cards, and really just a time to fellowship and enjoy each other, and really grow as brothers and as teammates, and that love for each other. And you know, for me to bring our families in was just a chance for them to see, like, hey, we're real people too behind just being a coach, and for them to see us being husbands and dads, and just that family atmosphere is what we try to create in there. And just, hey, just don't be so uptight all the time. Let's don't, you know, there's a time for ball, and we got to get our ball stuff in, but let's make sure we enjoy, like, hey, the camaraderie of this thing. And then, you know, we do that for about an hour, then we go have our team meetings and then get in bed, and then Saturday was all business.
I love that, because that is one thing you're asking about change when we were off here before, is like those night meetings before, I'd be like, dude, we got it. Like, I mean, I played there for 5 years. I knew the offense. I'm not saying that, but it's just like, holy cow, sometimes.
There's a lot, and I said this before, and my mom yelled at me about it. She said I can't say. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure you're holding the tail. You know?
I love that.
You said dance moves. Were you breaking out dance moves too?
You know, I try to get Marlon to teach me a couple. You know, I keep calling it the crisscross jump rope. He calls it some Louisiana dance, but I haven't. You know, I always call one of the guys up and let them kind of go at it. And, you know, they all have a great time.
I would love to see you break one out. Maybe I'm a big pin drop guy. I look up the pin drop. That's my go-to dance move all the time. So
you know, such a thing.
just look it up.
If you break the old water spigot,
yeah.
If you go and break that one out, I think the guys would
throw
get
the
pretty lit.
fish in it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Grew up with that one.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of in a weird type of year right now. We got the NIL. You're looking probably for a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
We also have a game to prepare for. How do you balance that in a weird time? December turned into that, you know, a couple years ago was not as hectic as it is nowadays.
Some people might think this is going to be a quiet week. You know, hey, you're no game to play. You're not getting ready for this or that. So tomorrow, our high school, we have about 20 kids committed, high school recruits committed, and they'll sign tomorrow.
Sweet.
So signing day's been moved up for that. The portal opens next Monday, but for all, you know, they can unofficially announce on Twitter or social media that they're going in the portal now. So you're already attacking that and roster management pieces. You're also looking at, you know, you mentioned defense coordinator, how we're going to work that out, and then just things for the future. You know, if we want to change anything up in the building, you know, those type of things. So, so it's a busy week, and you just got to go attack it. You know, I think I spent more time in the building this week than sometimes on the game weeks.
Better get used to it,
because you know it's important, and everything matters. You got to win every day, and it's no different than a game week. You got to go attack this the same way.
You are you going to keep morning practices?
I know in the spring we're going to go to the afternoons just for class and schedules.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing to kind of go back and forth. You know,
I like that's
morning and afternoons. I think, you know, we may push. You know, we haven't discussed it in detail, but possibly take Sundays off instead of Mondays off.
Nice.
And the only reason my thinking here, Holton, is like, if your family comes in from out of town, Caden, and how much time do they get to spend with you on a Sunday, especially if it's a night game?
Yeah.
They don't get to spend much time.
Sunday's your busiest day, you know?
Yeah, and it's like you're in there at 1 o'clock and you're not getting to relax and chill. And then you got Monday. Well, that's your off day. Well, you just got to go to class.
Yeah.
You still got to come in for afternoon afternoon academic check-in, those type of things. Well, let's give you Sunday off. That way you have a day to relax and watch ball and just be you and hang out with your friends, hang out with your family, whatever it may be, and then just go get after it on Monday morning. So that's a thought. And I don't know if we'll roll with that model, but that's kind of, it's a long ways to 2025 fall, but I think there's different ways you can do things. Spring ball. I've been throwing out the ideal of going Monday, Wednesday, Friday. How many Saturdays do you get off as a college football player in a year?
Not many.
None.
I mean, from July to December, you don't get any.
Yeah.
You don't get any. You're doing something almost every day. So in the spring, if we can give a young man a Saturday here and there, let's go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and still get our same work in.
Great.
And stretch it out. I do think. Your last year we went 4 practices in a week.
Yep.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
And I thought we could. I thought that was a smart move because you guys were an older bunch, older group that, you'd played a lot of ball and we didn't need. But I think we're going to stretch it out, just because if you're bringing in, let's say 40 new guys or 20 new guys, they need every single practice, and we need to stretch those installs out a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. I like all those ideas. Now the morning practices, and I don't know you. I would prefer morning practices in the fall and afternoon practices in the spring, because spring, it's like the best weather ever, and you can finish practice and go to a baseball game. Like, that's what we had my freshman year, and I loved it.
That's kind of my thought. And that may change, and somebody may tell me, hey, well, no, we're going to have afternoon practices. But that would be my thought. I did like the morning practices this year. That was my first time doing it, but I thought it kept us out of the heat in September. I thought just having the guys the first thing of the day and having them ready. Now there's some things we got to clean up from it and kind of make sure we're on top of. But I did enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. What is your vision? Like, obviously now with college football playoff, like, ECU has a real shot of making the playoff. Yeah. What is your vision of how to get there? I
think I'm careful to say, like, hey, our goal and our mission and our only goal is go win a conference championship. But I think you can win conference championships at East Carolina.
Yep.
I think our fans deserve it. Our players deserve it. We're making the steps to go make that happen. And if you win a conference championship in the American Conference, you have an opportunity to go play for a playoff team. You have a chance to go be a playoff team, which anything can happen.
Yep.
You look at Tulane, you look at Army this year, who are going to play in the conference championship Friday night. If they could play a little bit better here and there, especially Army. If Army goes and beats Tulane and Boise State happen to slip up, who knows if Army will be in that playoff discussion. So I think there's a lot of things that could happen, if you take care of business. But you got to go back to one game at a time and enjoy the process. Don't worry about the outcome, and don't talk about outcomes, because outcomes can throw you off. You got to talk about every single day in the process and fall in love with the process.
Good.
I know we kind of glossed over it a second ago. What are you as much as you can get in detail, what is your ideal defense coordinator you're looking for?
We're going to go be aggressive, and that's just my mindset. Some people thought, like, hey, just going for it on 4th down was just because you were playing with house money and you're the interim coach. But I say, hey, I like the pressure. I like to, go get after it defensively and do a lot of things there. And we're going to do that offensively with 4th downs. We're going to do that with our fake field goals, our fake punts, our onside kicks.
Let's go.
We haven't seen those yet because we hadn't had to use them, or didn't, the appropriate times didn't come up. And also so the ball team can prepare for those things. But, that's who I'm looking for in a defense coordinator, somebody that fits our staff, that fits East Carolina, that our young men will respond to, and then also can help attract talent to East Carolina. I think if they can, have guys they can bring with them, or they know talent they can bring with them, I think that helps too. So a lot of different factors play into it. Fortunately, like the defensive coordinator thing, when you grow up a defensive coach and you go visit with guys, you get to know a lot of defensive coaches throughout the country. So it's a list that, like, hey, you got a dozen guys you could go to, and some of them, they're out of reach salary wise, or they're P4 level and things like that. And so some of them you kind of cross that out, and then you got to kind of make a decision of just who you feel fits best for East Carolina, fits best for our locker room, our players, and our staff.
Speaking of aggression, and I know you mentioned it, I had to hit it. the fans. I can just tell you, the fans were loving the aggression. When you could hear that crowd, the times you went for. I know you said you were joking playing with house money, but I think that the crowd liked that. I know players respond very well. I know it can look bad if you don't get some of those big plays. Yeah. But I fell in love with just the aggression and just going for it at some of those times.
Well, I think like the Tulsa game, we go for it on fourth down, don't get it, but then later in the game, we're going for it on fourth down, and it really wins us a football game.
Yeah.
The Navy game, we go for it early.
Yeah.
And if we connect there, we're up 7-0, and really, if we execute a little bit better on fourth down, we probably win that game. And then we're getting ready to go for it on another fourth down, and we false start and kick the field goal. So it made that decision a little bit easier. Sometimes that 4th and 2, 4th and 3 area, it can get a little like, oh man, Coach Baker, couldn't you make this easy and got it to 4th and 1, and we could have went, and then on your side of the 50, I think there's some times that if you can get it to 4th and 1, 4th and short, let's quarterback sneak that thing, let's dive it up in there, and let's go hit it. And now if it's 4th and 2, it kind of makes it a little bit tougher. So. You want the easy decisions, but at the same time, let's go be aggressive.
You going back to the defense coordinator, so you're not going to call plays next year. You're looking to hire a D coordinator that'll call the plays.
Yeah, I just think that's probably the best opportunity for us to go win football games is hire somebody that I feel comfortable with, that our staff feels comfortable with, that we'll be able to kind of run the room. And if I need to spend more time with the offense or just I want to spend more time with our players. That's the big thing, and I think that's hard to do if you're locked up in a room. Game plan and film, film study, which I'm still going to miss that. I'm still going to love that and miss that. And I told somebody the other day, like my big thing for myself, like as a head coach now, has to go to recruiting. Has to go to our donor relations, helping the team boneyard, those type of things. That's where I got to because if I just do nothing, step back, I'm gonna be bored. So, and I'll still watch plenty of film just because I enjoy that. And I'm sure the defensive coaches will probably get tired of me now walking in there and telling them what blitz to run or what they should be doing or what adding to. But we're not quite there yet. So
I'm sure you'll have your own your couple blitzes in and twist into those the next defense.
Yeah, which one you want? Smack? You want Foster's? You probably still know them all.
Y'all swore I knew those. I did not know.
Yeah.
I remember.
You only heard it for 3-4 years.
I was locked in on Donnie screaming at me.
You would really like the green dot then.
Yeah. So how's that been? I wanted to ask about that. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different now. You're the head coach, but how has that been player wise? Because that's a different animal.
Yeah. There was some ups and downs with it. And what I mean by that, there's some times I talked. It was a guy mostly for us on defense. And I would talk to him, and he'd be like, hey, it's like a cheat code. And he'd be sometimes like, hey, coach, just give me the play and that's it. Just give me the call and that's it. And basically what he was saying, especially in a tempo situation, if you're giving too much information, and we talked about it before, it's like talking in his backswing. Yeah. And offensively, it's a little bit different because you're talking to him all the way until he gets ready to set. Defensively. It's all about you're trying to give me as much information before the ball gets snapped, before that 15-second clock hits, and sometimes it can be too much.
It's like information overload. I remember in the pros, there's an art to it, especially coaching, talking into it, because my Seattle OC, at least in the preseason when I played, there'd be times kind of like you said where I'm like, all right, just give me the play. They're so long in the NFL. I'm like, just give me the play. Don't talk. Don't say anything else. Yeah. And there's times where I'm like, all right, what's this check here? What am I supposed to do versus this check? So it's just a different animal.
Yeah. And it helped a few times, hey, tell so-and-so this, or tell so-and-so this, or hey, alert the hard count here, or hey, this is a pass down. Yeah. Those kind of things.
Last question, I'll let Caden get to you. You're obviously you didn't come up with this staff. You were just a part of it, and now you're the head coach of it. How important is it? Obviously, I would assume JDB is going to be back, and how important it is to keep the main nucleus together, because we did have a good year this year.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think that's huge for just our football program, our football team is just keeping Coach Baker and others in place and making sure we're ready to go play. Because anytime you have a ton of changeover, if we had a whole new coaching staff in here, how long does it take that new staff to get comfortable and get their playbook in and get their terminology in and have relationships with the players and all those type of things. So, that's kind of the focus right now.
Good. Caden, you got anything else?
It reminds me of earlier this year when we talked. You said, why change when something's going well? That's not what you said directly, but it was something around there. What bowl game?
Glad you remember.
Is there a bowl game that you're hoping to get?
I keep saying early and warm, and it's all personal preference. It has nothing to do. I said early warm and against a P4 team, preferably North Carolina.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I agree. But nobody's listening to me. Nobody cares my opinion through this whole thing. ESPN certainly doesn't. But and I say that because I want to go work on my tan early because I think most of our players, including me, would probably rather spend Christmas Eve night in their own bed.
Not in Birmingham? Are you serious?
And then I think the P4 is attractive as just far as hey, we haven't got an opportunity to play a P4 team this year, so that'd be pretty cool for our guys.
That would be. Coach, congrats on the job. We're pumped for you. I mean,
I'm fired up to be a Pirate and just fired up to be in Pirate Nation, and just means so much to be here to me and my family and be around our players and be part of our program and our building is pretty cool. Just I can't say enough good things about that, and can't say enough about what Pirate Nation has done the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I've seen our players and our program kind of pull everybody in the same direction.
Yeah.
So we're all pulling together, and it's all about us. We talked about that in our locker room. It's all about us. But I really think that's all about Pirate Nation. And it's going to take a village to make sure we're successful here. As a football program, as a basketball program, baseball, it takes everybody. And pulling in the same direction, we're all going to get upset. If something doesn't go our way, we drop a game, we're all going to be upset. And I understand we all should be because we're all passionate about it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if we're all pulling in the same directions, players, coaches, administration, fans, and we're all supporting this thing the way we should be, then I think we got a good chance to go be successful and reach our goals that you talked about earlier.
For sure. Stay a long time. Don't go nowhere.
That's the plan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
That Blake Harrell interview was brought to you by Anson Belt. Over 10,000 combinations of micro-adjustable holeless belts. Look, literally everyone who's ever gotten one, they have over 30,000 five-star reviews on Google. Every person who I've ever known who has gotten one says they're not getting another belt again, including me and Caden here. You got to get an Anson belt, Caden.
Looking for a gift for Dad? Dad's gained a little bit too much weight this year and can't fit his own belts. Anson belt. Go check them out, ansonbelt.com.
I actually got my dad a Anson belt, and he loved it. He's been begging for it since they've been a sponsor for over a year now, and I was a bad son and just now got him one, but he loves it. He was very thankful. He even went to Twitter about it. He was that proud of his Anson belt. Next, I want to give a shout out to Kyra's Float and Wellness Studio, 2800 East 10th Street. Look, they got float tank, they got infrared sauna, they got cold plunge. You can contrast, and they got salt halo therapy. I've been doing them all. Not going to lie, I've been doing them all. I took Caden. Caden's been hyping it up. He's went one time alone, but he has been hyping up doing a dual float together, me and him. So we went. Tell him what we did, Caden.
We floated together in different rooms. But I will say, Holtman has told me for weeks, get into taking care of your body more. And I went with him. Me and him did a day together, doing the cold plunge, doing the float, doing the sauna. And it just makes you feel so much better and rejuvenated to start your day or maybe to recover after a long day. I couldn't recommend it even more.
Attaboy. Caden, Blake Harrell's a great guy. We are big fans of him. And look, I wish I would have told him this. We've had a couple phone calls. I talked to him, I think, 2 days in a row last week, just straight ball and the program. And it was cool because, he's asking for our opinions on some things. And, he walks in, he's like, Caden, Holton, what would y'all improve about the facilities on the first floor that, what y'all were there long enough, what should we do better? And, he is genuinely, and he was genuinely asking. He wasn't just doing that. And, that's just the type of person he is. That's why I'm hype he's our head coach.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And I was stunned he asked us that question. I was trying to think, and I was like, oh, my God. I wasn't coming here to get into a critical thinking session. But it was really cool to see that because I think he really values – it doesn't matter if you were starting quarterback or if you were the fourth man on the quarterback position. He wants to know what you think and how you feel. And it's just something that really sticks out about him. Some people can act like they care, but it's really the genuality that comes out of Blake Harrell that I love a lot. But one thing I've noticed, he got a little bit of head coach in him.
He does.
He got a little bit of head coach in him now.
I love it.
He was a little bit more reserved on his questions. And
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think he hasn't been asked those questions. You got to think about that. He hasn't been asked the questions about. I think you won't find a more genuine coach in a perfect fit than him right here at ECU.
No, I agree with you. And I didn't mean say he wasn't giving us questions. I think it was just you could see the head coach was coming out of him. And I don't know if a lot of people are going to understand that, but
No, I get it.
I've seen DC Blake Harrell,
Yeah.
and now I see head coach Blake Harrell.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of everyone changes a little
Well, it
bit.
was like he was saying, like, he goes from sitting in plays, watching film all the time, to dealing with donors,
Yeah.
to dealing with NIL. So, like, that is a different position to be in. And I think what's important for college athletics now, especially college football, as a head coach, is it's not as much, even more than it. And we both know, we play college football, like, head coaches don't do that much. They do they do roster management, they do game-based stuff. X's and O's, they're not involved that much. Now it's even further away from the game, and it's very, very important to have someone who's likable, who's genuine, who's humble.
Yeah.
That's Blake Harrell.
That's
and
him.
that's why he was the perfect fit, in my opinion, for this job. Now, look, I came out at the very beginning when Coach Houston got fired and said I was a big Dwayne Ledford guy. I still am a Dwayne Ledford guy. I'm not saying that. But the reason I like Dwayne Ledford was because he was a ECU guy. He was a North Carolina native. He could get people to buy in, and he was going to stay here for a long time. Blake Harrell fits all those. We just didn't. We knew it, but honestly, when it first happened, I didn't know if he was going. I didn't think he was even going to get a chance at that. And there was knowledge within the program, being around Coach Harrell, that like there's always conversations of what coach do you think will work their way up, like along will be a head coach one day, and everyone always knew Coach Harrell would have been. You can ask any former coach you ever knew, and we always talked about his meetings, how his meetings were fun and all that. Now you're seeing that, and his ideas are what excite me about Sundays off during the season.
Oh my God.
I could not imagine that. His players
I didn't
will
know that
love
was
him.
a thing.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're the head coach, it can be a thing. And like his ideas of that, and of spring ball stretching it out and not having Saturday practices. Like, dude, his players are gonna love him even more than they already do. The transfers are gonna love him. Everyone's gonna love him. And they're gonna, when you love someone, like when Ruff was here, the player buy-in, the fan buy-in is gonna be huge. He's the right man for the job, and those ideas really scream, I'm here to stay, and the guys are going to love me.
Shoot, when he was talking about all those different like spring thoughts and in-season thoughts, I was like, oh my God, I would have killed for all those.
Dude.
But one thing you said about X and O's, and a lot of people, they might get it, they might not get it. That's like head coaches are pulled away from the X and O's, and they let the coordinators really run the show. One thing they don't let the coordinators run the show is, the game time decisions on like going for it on fourth down, being aggressive. And I loved him saying, like, I'm going to find a defensive coordinator that fits my style. Because if he really paid attention to Blake Harrell's style, it was aggression on defense. It was bringing the blitz packages. It was scheming up the offense. And him going for a defense coordinator that's aggressive, he gave us a little bit of look in there. Could be anyone. But one thing I wish we would have asked was, is he looking for someone a little bit older that maybe was a pass head coach?
And that's something you're seeing now with college football, is the GM type thing. You saw Andrew Luck just get hired. I don't know if he's looking to hire a GM. I know there's been rumblings of hiring someone of that sort who manages manage the general. But I know Andrew Luck's going to be way more hands-on. ECU won't hire that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hired someone within the next year that kind of generally manages things, but not. Andrew Luck's going to be more like an NFL GM where he makes decisions on roster management and all that. I feel like ECU's more looking for someone just to handle the NIL so the coach can do the other things.
Yeah. What if I told you I was approached?
If I told you I was.
Okay. Well, what's a defense coordinator, the kind of what he told you? Do you have anyone top of mind that you think that you would like to see? Or I know we haven't really thought of it that much, talked about it one-on-one. I didn't know.
One thing that I did gather from that is he's probably not going to hire within. He's not going to hire DC within, which is something that honestly I was kind of hoping for. I think Roy Tesh would have been a perfect fit, or Coach Butters, Brian Buttersworth kind of fits that role, and that way you keep the scheme in place. I think his scheme will still somewhat be in place. He talked about the smack blitz and all those blitzes that they run. We'll still see that. His defense is too good just to let go. There is a defense. Trip Weaver, obviously, is a younger guy who's a DC right now, who runs. He actually doesn't run that scheme as much anymore, but knows the scheme. That could be one at least get talked about, but that's not happening, I don't believe, for a couple of reasons. Other than that, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I want to see an older DC hire. I want to see someone who runs a creative, but I'll explain why. If you're creative, Blake Harrell was creative, he was aggressive, he was all those things. If you hire someone who's older that's creative, that is aggressive, then why are they at ECU? Because if that creative, innovative offense or defenses that are aggressive, if they're good, will work their way up, and if they're bad, they won't. So I don't want an older guy that has done that.
It could have been a guy that's seen some unluck in his career, though.
That's how that happens
sometimes.
No, 100%. But I would rather get a associate head coach like a Ruffin McNeil to come in and literally just be like a mentor for Coach Harrell, and then hire the DC that just fits, rather than just getting an older guy because Coach Harrell's young and it's his first head coaching job.
You know, a DC that's pretty good that I thought had a bad go at ECU, and he's older, could be like an associate head coach at Missouri.
Yes, actually.
David Blackwell.
See, but I still consider him like younger in his like calling career.
Oh,
like, you know what I mean? Like, he's been to DC a couple times, not like he didn't work up to the highest level and then just fall. Like, he had bad luck at ECU, but he had good defenses here.
Yeah.
I think
there's a reason he's at Mizzou right now.
Yes, 100%. And we actually texted, first of all, you just took that. I literally texted in the podcast group chat this week that he was a potential candidate from multiple sources. I don't know why I didn't bring that up. I think Coach Blackwell is the perfect candidate. He's an ECU alum.
Yeah.
He's been here. He had a good Mo years were bad. That last year he had an aggressive defense. Yes, spurts. Look, he took a 4-string running back and made him American Conference Player of the Year at defensive end, and Nate Harvey. I think David Blackwell is probably the perfect. Talking about getting fan base even more involved, you bring back an ECU alum at DC that's aggressive still, that we both knew, like, we were hoping that Houston kept him as the DC when everything got fired with Mo. And honestly, hindsight's 2020. Instead of bringing in Bob Trott, he probably should have, but then Coach Harrell wouldn't be here either. I think that's a perfect guy to come in and fill that role.
Yeah. And then one thing on top of that, I think he might get a bad look on the outside looking in because of who he was with before he left. But that's just one thing I have.
Coach Mo? Yeah. But Mo. See, he's an ECU alum. Like, he's a lot similar to Coach Harrell, honestly, and like not rugged, but like not the clean-cut guy. And I think Coach Harrell, and not that they're not clean cut, I didn't mean it like that, but they're not just going to go suck up to everyone. You know, they're going to do it their way. They're going to be innovative. They're going to be creative, and that way gets it done. And you've seen that with Coach Harrell, and it freaking spread like wildfire with the fan base, with John David Baker posting cigarettes on the thing. Now, I'm sure John Gilbert probably had a conversation.
Boo.
And I mean, I don't know if they did or not, but I mean, if you're an athletic director, you're probably like, okay, look, your offense coordinator can't be posting cigs on the freaking field after.
You gotta know society these days. They want authenticity.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know if that was the right word to say. They want authentic. You know, screw it. They know they want. They have a stutter, guys. If you make fun of me, I'm getting you canceled.
I guess I was just making fun of him. No, I get what you mean, and yeah, I agree with that, but. I mean, you're running a business, you just want to run as clean as possible, but I'm all for it. I love it. Speaking of that, Yannick Smith, yeet! That was awesome.
There were a lot of boomers.
There was
on
a lot
X.
of fans that are like, I don't agree with this. And they were saying they didn't agree with Navy, like getting hype at the fourth quarter. You know what? Don't lose. Don't be losing, and you do it first. It's your home field. You do it first then.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
it.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying on the, what do they call it? The fourth quarter. They used to do the flag.
No quarter.
The no quarter. Thank you. Navy was bouncing around. I actually thought, no disrespect into that. I saw people saying, like, what's going on? They have no respect. They were just getting hype.
Yeah.
Think about when Oregon was, like, all the teams that go to Wisconsin bounce around.
Yeah. Well,
that's
they're
exactly
saying, like, they went
doing.
at, like, midfield. ECU didn't back down, though. They got hype, too. Like, why would you not want both? And the fans got hype.
That was the whole stadium woke up. That was the perfect time I thought our team was going to turn it around.
Yeah, and they started to a little bit. And, like, that's something where fans, I guess, playing, you understand it a little bit more. Now, look, it did make me mad that Navy was doing that, but and we were sitting right next to each other, and I said, this makes me want to go out there and play right now, but it makes you want to go out there and take a 14-point deficit away and beat them and say jump at that in the press conference. That's what I think of, is saying, all right, you want to do that on our field? All right, watch this. We're going to come back in the fourth quarter. We're going to win. In the press conference, I'm going to embarrass you. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Makes me think, I think a lot of people want to be like that perfect sportsmanship. Like football, college football, Division I college football, during the game, there's very little sportsmanship.
No, I mean, just do it between the lines, which I know that's not, but like, ECU needs to get back. Everyone loves Coach Logan. Coach Logan was chippy.
Yeah.
ECU needs to get back to chippy. That's why Blake Harrell's going to be a good hire and a good head coach. But, like, get back to saying, you know what? We don't care what you think. Beat us, and then you can talk. That's what I believe. It's like, you know what? Do something about it. Do it between the lines. Beat us. Then you can do whatever you want to do.
Or you could fight like Carolina and Ohio State after the game. I kind of
see. I loved it as a fan, but like if I was an ECU guy and ECU did that, I wouldn't be happy at all.
No.
Now, like as a fan from afar, like I think that's awesome. Other than the pepper spray, that's actually insane.
But that's one thing I hate about ECU, and I don't hate many things about ECU. But what I hate is we don't have a rivalry so passionate about that because Carolina doesn't look at us like that. State doesn't look at us like that. And then like, are you really going to get fired up for like a Southern Miss, Marshall? Those
I will
ones?
say, Charlotte, believe it or not, as much as I don't want to say this, is butting into that in football. And it's probably rivalry-wise, I'm saying take a look away from ECU. Rivalry-wise, it's probably better Charlotte beat us those 2 years because it actually makes it a rivalry. If we just dominated, look, we have the better facilities. We have the better recruits. We have all that. If we just dominated for 2 games, we'd be like, yeah, why are they in our conference? They beat us.
And a job that people want to take.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Bobby Trino just backed out too, and then Coach Houston came here over them. But they genuinely are, I would say, a rival in football now. And their fans watch this and chirp at us all the time. And that is what rivalries are. So, you know what? If we're going to be in the American, if they're going to be in the American, move that game to the last game of the year to rivalry weekend and make our fans hate each other.
I mean,
make the teams hate each other. Make the players hate each other. Because, look, we're in the same conference now. The recruits that come here are going to be the same recruits that are here from Charlotte. The recruits that are going to Charlotte, a.k.a. Omega Blake or whatever his name is, get recruited by ECU now. So whether we want to admit it or not, they are a rival. So let's make them one. Move them to the last game of the year. They would like that. We would like that. It's a good time.
Let's plant a flag on Charlotte's field next time we're there.
Yeah. Let's do it. Anything else before we end, Cade?
No, let's just talk about, I don't know if we're going to do weekly anymore since football season's over. We might do weekly basketball, which I claim to be a 0% expert in. 177 record in college regular season betting.
100 wins, 73 losses.
Yeah, 73 loss. That's a pretty good record we had this past year.
It was. We had a really good college football season. Obviously, college football's not done with, but we won a lot of money. A lot of people won a lot of money. If you want to do that, follow @Holt Show on X. We post bets every single week, and we post really good content with it. Caden, your bets have been great. Your videos have been great. Jack's bets, he went 20. It's more impressive that 3 of us did it for entire college football season, and not one of us had a negative record. That's very, very impressive. So make sure if you like free money, I mean, just follow our page. For real though, follow the page, win money. If you're sports betting, and you're not following us, then you're tripping because we're winning money for you guys. Me and Kate were out having drinks the other night at Crush. Guy walks up, we're peeing next to each other at the urinal. I'm on one side, Caden's right next to me. Even though there was 15 urinals to the other side, the guy walks up right next to me and says, "Hey guys, I've been betting with you all year. Been winning money."
He said, "I've been betting with you, Holton, all year."
He's been winning money.
And Holton went 1-3 Saturday. I went 3-1. He bet the wrong guy.
All right. Appreciate you guys for joining the pod. We'll keep it up. Blake Harrell's a good one. Maybe we'll have a potential first-round draft pick with us next week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining the show.